Welcome to the Goo Mod Spotlight. So the first thing you're going to need is a bunch of gaskets, which are made with honeycomb, gold ingots, and magma cream. We have here the gooifier. So the gooifier is placed down like so, and then we look on the back, and you can see this grey patch right here. Put a hopper there. That will allow us to feed items into the gooifier. And we're going to feed 64 torches. If we shift, we can see the goo, and this is radiant goo. So we're going to put those in, you can see it's going to go into the gooifier. Now, if we wanted to export the items, we could put them into a goo bulb. This yellow is an output slot. So you can see that's now going to accrue radiant goo. If we shift, we can see the radiant goo accruing from the torches. Now we can get the gauntlet and we could retrieve that goo from the bulb. And you can see it is now in the gauntlet. Now we have the solidifier. So we can place an empty bulb on top, and with the gauntlet we can put that into here. And with the solidifier we can actually specify what we want to create. So say we wanted to turn this radiant goo back into torches. You see, this is now going to be output. If we get a chest, you can see it will quickly output the items. So say we wanted to convert some of this radiant goo into an item form, we could put some nether quartz actually into the tank. And you'll see that will change when we get a radiant chip. And that contains 10 radiant goo. You can see we have ones with higher values as well. It's also worth looking at some of the other properties of the actual tank itself. So you can see how it drained. So we've also got this, which is the mixer. So we can put a bulb here, and we could do that with that. Okay, so you can see the torch, like I said, has got radiant, and the chest has got floral on it exclusively. So we'll put torches in this one. We'll put chests in this one. And you can see the mixer is actually turning the floral and the radiant goo into this type of goo. If you take a look at this goo, you can see this is called chromatic goo. I could put some sea pickles in. You can see pickles have got faunal, they've got chromatic, they've got aquatic goo. So we can put those in there. If we take a look at the tanks, you can see, first of all, they go to the side, but they also actually have all the different types of goo in them. What we can now do is we can put some goo pumps down. And with goo pumps, we're able to actually specify which goo is allowed out. So say we go for aquatic for this one. So you can see in this way we can separate the goo out into its component parts. Take a basin. So this has got almost 4,000 aquatic goo. You can see at this time I put the faunal goo in. If we click on this one now, it's actually, you can see it's got both types of goo in it now. So if I right click in the air, so you've got a radial menu. You can switch between the different types of goo we've got in the basin. We can right click on the ground and create a small area of goo. Each one has got 4. If I wanted to swap that, could do the same thing. So we could pick that up with the gauntlet, place it back down with the gauntlet. Okay, you can see with this stone it is earthen goo. So I'm going to put a bunch of earthen goo in there. Now I'm going to put a crucible down over here. And if we put another bulb underneath, you'll see that the crucible is changing the earthen goo into molten goo. So we put this lobber next to the goo here. You can see it's actually going to lob it into the air. It goes about 4 blocks. Okay, now we're going to look at what the goo actually does. We're going to have aquatic. It will deal damage to entities that hate water. Let's take a look. See, it's also going to turn lava into stone. 6 blocks away. We take a look at the sheep here with the chromatic goo. It dyes the sheep. Looks like all the colours that sheep will naturally spawn as. Take a look at the effect on wool. This will go every colour of wool. Switch between the 2 types of sand. Now we've got the crystal goo. You see, it actually breaks blocks with Silk Touch. Yeah, you can see it does damage also to entities. Okay, Decay Goo. Smooth Stone goes to Cobble. Gravel. Coarse Dirt maybe. Sand is the last one. See what it does to sugarcane. Destroys it. Also will give the Wither effect. So look. So here's the earthen one. It does the opposite of decay. Then again, it has a light damage effect on mobs. Energetic Goo just does 3x3 damage. Faunal Goo now. Faunal Goo causes animals to reproduce. The Floral Goo is kind of interesting. It can do nothing to animals, but you can see you've got some flowers there. See what it does to... Okay, so it puts lily pads on water. It says moss on stone. There's a few other farming type features with that one. Let's try the leaves as well. Okay, yeah, you can see we can get some vines. Okay, we've got the fungal one now. So you can see we're going to get podzol there. And mycelium. We've got honey now. Funny, you can put it on top. You can see it gives you the slowness 5 effect. Logic now. Creates a little clock. So do recall that every time you break a block, the liquid does just drop downwards. So it does have that effect on hostile mobs as well. Have the metal goo as well. This is a fairly straightforward one. It'll break just single blocks. Next up we have molten goo, which you saw earlier. We can make it from earthen goo. So it actually turns obsidian back into lava. Goo also has a sort of knockback effect as well. So if you stand in front of it, see the molten goo will burn you, obviously. Also take a look at the effect on an iron block. Immediately smelt it. So the primordial goo is actually the highest tier goo. It can be used to create a lot of very expensive items. So we just take a large section of diamond ore like this. We shoot some primordial ore. So I didn't place it exactly correctly, but you can see what it does. It silk touches everything in a 5x5 area. Take a sheep as well. Let's have a look, see what it does to that. You can see it has a shrinking effect, and it will also turn it into an egg. Now I have the radiant goo, what the torch was made at the beginning of the video. See, it creates a torch. So you can see the effect there. And it also does some damage, more so to undead creatures. Okay, regal goo now. So that is going to give you Fortune 3 on any block that you mine. So essentially when you hit a neutral mob, it will become angry at any creature nearby. Could just try that with a gauntlet really quickly. You can see that llama immediately attack the sheep. Okay, we've also got slime goo. It's just like a slime block essentially. So snow goo is a bit like water goo. You can see this sheep has got slowness now. We'll also freeze water into ice, things like that. We have vital goo. This is regen goo. We go 15 blocks in the air. I think we should be alive from that. You can see that regen effect. And it's actually shrinking the goo. So it does use up goo, and the other goos are similar in that respect as well. Okay, so the weird goo now is an interesting one. Let's just try picking that sheep there. It actually worked that time, right? If you can get to the position where you have two entities, it will swap the position of those. There you go. Okay, so say we have a bee, and we feed it a chromatic shard. Let's take a look and see what happens. you'll see the bee immediately gets blue eyes. Let's take a second bee and do the same thing. You see this creates a new type of bee. Okay, so now we're going to put a bulb here, and we've also got this goo trough. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in some chromatic. So the bees will drink the chromatic goo, and then they'll go here, which is the crystal nest. As you can see. So over time, they're going to produce the crystal comb. So this could be a way to generate something like nether quartz ore, for example. So you just need earthen and some crystal, and then you just be able to generate, essentially be able to generate nether quartz purely from chromatic goo. You could say we could get a load of sunflowers, turn it into chromatic, turn it into nether quartz. And the final thing is the primordial snail. So we can pick up the primordial snail. And you can see the primordial snail likes to eat the crystal combs. And you can see the primordial snail there drop this. And that's a primordial chip. So the primordial goo is pretty much the strongest in the game. So you could make, all you would need is have some weird goo and some aquatic goo, and you can make the heart of the sea. You also need a decent amount for netherite. So if you wanted to make nether stars, for example, you would need to have at least 60 primordial. The others you can see are pretty straightforward to get. So it looks like a lot of difficult things like nautilus shells do need to have primordial. They also need weird goo. So weird goo does seem to be fairly difficult to get. You can get it from phantoms quite easily. So get a healthy amount from Eyes of Ender. Pufferfish has some. So you can see there's lots of ways you can combine goos. You can separate them. You can use them to make new items. Really, really cool mod. So thanks for watching.